back. Businesses Building Bridges, Flagler B3, and my co-host, Diane Campbell. I am Shara. Today we have our lovely guest, Kay Click. Welcome, Kay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, tell us a little something about yourself and how you winded up in Palm Coast.
I've been in Palm Coast for about 2.5 years. It was our retirement plan to move down to the St. Augustine area. And in the meantime, my sons both moved to the Tampa area. And my husband got a remote job, so we kind of accelerated. We weren't ready to retire, but we wanted to go ahead and move, so we did, and it's been awesome.
And you have a beach fetish?
I love the beach, yes.
You do love the beach.
I go as much as I can. Sometimes I just stop and walk.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your business.
So I have I refinish furniture and paint cabinets. So I've been doing that for about 6 years. Started out as mainly flipping furniture and selling it, but then got a lot of commission work, people giving me stuff to refinish for them. So that's what I do.
What was the most difficult
Most difficult?
job you've done?
Probably I did this one lady's table, and it had a very intricate pattern on it, and was raised kind of in different places. So it was hard to stain because it was different colors, and so that was probably the most challenging, just to make it look like it used to, nice.
Very cool.
That's probably the.
I know, Kay, that you, we have similar stories in how we got to Palm Coast.
Right.
And you were the first person that I trusted with my grandmother's pieces. So she had a sun parlor set, which is what she called it. It sat in the attic of my home in Georgia for 30 years. And I always knew I didn't want to get rid of it because they used it for being out on the lanai, or the porch, as they called it up in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And you were the person that redid that unit. And I remember together on the back porch of the lanai here in Florida, we reassembled that. And it was such a joy to have that back in service. And I didn't really want any stain on it, but you took care of it and put it back together, and we enjoyed having that. So what made you start furniture restoration?
Just because I like old wood furniture, to not sound
Wood
too...
is the key word there, because a lot of it isn't anymore.
It cannot be cliche-ish.
Yeah.
They don't make things like they used to
Right.
anymore. And so the stuff that the older stuff is just good quality. There's nothing wrong with it. It might be a little outdated as far as color-wise, or maybe it's gotten scratched up or little nicks or whatever, but it's still usable good stuff. So I just like bringing it back to life, And a lot of the pieces that I do have special meaning to somebody,
Yeah, they're very emotional.
As a grandparent or a parent, or like I have several pieces that my father, who's passed away, had made, So just stuff like that. It's just to preserve it and keep it.
And when you started your business, did it take off right away, or do you have to educate people on the value of restoring furniture?
It kind of did. Actually, the business actually kind of came about because someone asked me. I had another business, a do-it-yourself studio, where we made different things. But I had somebody ask me if I refinish furniture, and I'd been doing it for myself for 10 years. So it was kind of like that. So then it just kind of snowballed. Somebody else asked me, and then somebody else asked me. I'm like, oh, wow, this could be a real business. I just thought everybody watched HGTV and could do, could refinish furniture, So it's like... Didn't think it was anything spectacular.
But it definitely is a talent. It's not something that you can just do yourself. I mean, you could paint yourself, but
sure,
it'll definitely not look as good.
Well,
because there is a science to it.
There is. It's a technique, and you do have to have a lot of patience, and you have to enjoy doing it. That's what I've found with a lot of things.
Boy,
If you don't enjoy it,
that.
then it's not gonna not gonna work, and it's gonna show in your work if you don't enjoy it.
We share the love of wood. Of course, I have tree trends, but to refinish something, that is an area I do not want to go down because I know it's very meticulous.
It is. Yeah.
And sometimes you don't remove the finish the first time, so there's more little nitpicky sanding to do, and sanding is the vein of most woodworkers' existence. But that is where at the end of the day, that's where the finish shines and it shows its true personality.
Yeah.
And the grain pops, and you can see how it used to be
Right.
in yesteryear, and bringing it back to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does weather affect anything when you're refinishing?
Yeah, there's ideal times to to stain or not stain or whatever. Humidity affects a lot of things. I do all my work out of my garage, and I did get a mini split last year, so that's helped quite a bit to adjust the climate somewhat. So that does make a big difference in dry time.
Do your customers give you freedom of choice to restore it the way you want it, or are you mostly led by the customer's desires?
Yeah, I pretty much try to do whatever they would like. I do offer suggestions if they're trying to make it look beachy or if they want to just get it back to the original state, you know. But I try to, just go mainly on what they desire.
And does that transfer into home cabinets and things other than furniture?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Okay.
Like I said, a lot with the cabinets that a lot of people are going away from the wood and wanting a white or a lighter. I know
That hurts.
I know.
It'll come back around.
It's going to come back around. It's all cyclical. So yeah, I think it'll come back. But
And we'll go back to the emotional level of this, because that is, I think, the most emotional part is that these pieces mean something to someone.
right.
And we have an abundance of people just getting rid of furniture when people pass. So what does that mean to you when you see that transformation of how sad they are about it and they don't know what to do with it, and then what you could do to restore it and bring it back to life?
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I do it is just to because it does mean something to somebody, and that way I can give them it gives me joy to make them happy and like what they have instead of
Be able
just
to
being
use
like,
the
oh
piece.
gosh, we're just going to stick this in the corner, but we
Or
can't
just
go throw it
store
away.
it somewhere.
Right. Pay
Very
storage.
cool.
Is there a balance between historically what the piece was and what the client wants it to be? In other words, do they want it to be restored back to the way it used to be, or they want a fresh new look? And how do you balance that?
Yeah, a lot of times it just depends. I find that, especially like with tables, like kitchen tables, they want it back to what it used to be because it's just had a lot of memories. And kitchen tables there's a lot
of course, yeah.
a lot of memories are made at kitchen tables, and so they want to just restore that. I find with other pieces, it's more of maybe making it something different, just to something new. So.
Very cool. Well, we talk about bridges and how they're being built, obviously, from one point to the next point.
Okay.
And we have quite a few bridges as well.
Yeah.
And I would like to talk about the nonprofits that we're involved in together, as well as your own nonprofit and how that came about.
You want my nonprofit first?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have a nonprofit called Furnishing Hope, and because I do refinish furniture, I get a lot of people asking me if I want furniture that they no longer want, or if they see stuff on the side of the road, if I want the furniture. So I was like, there has to be some way to repurpose it. Somebody else can use it. I am involved with several different organizations and nonprofits that help people who are in need, such as families that have lost their home in fires, or victims of domestic violence, or people starting over. I helped with Evolve Sober Living in Palm Coast. They furnished homes, and so they needed bedroom furniture, living room furniture. So I don't take any what I call soft furniture. So I don't take couches or chairs or anything like that, but like tables, nightstands, dressers.
But you do take donations for such things.
I take donations because it's great to give somebody a bed frame, but if you don't have a mattress to give them, that's kind of
pointless.
Yeah, or even sheets or a blanket or something like that. So I do take donations for those items.
And you store these items?
I store them.
And where do you store these?
I have a storage building. So I was granted a grant from the Professional Women of Flagler County last year, and I bought a storage building. So I have a 10 by 10 storage building on the back of my yard, and that's where I store things until I can give them to someone in need. So.
And what's the future goal of Furnishing Hope?
The future goal.
What is your vision? If you had $10 billion to
had-
spend.
I would be able to just help everybody with any kind of furnishing needs.
Would you have like a storage, like property where you can have this?
I
little
would like to
storage?
have a kind of like maybe a store type place, like between a warehouse and a store. So a lot of things, like if I get donated, like somebody will give me an armoire. Well, someone that's necessarily starting out doesn't need an armoire, and the TVs don't fit in those anymore or whatever. So I can repurpose it, make it into a coffee bar, wine bar, whatever, sell that, use that money to buy a dresser or a mattress or whatever I need. So ideally, it would be great to have a place where somebody, a family or whatever, is in need can come in and look and say, okay, here, we have this stuff that has been donated, you can take. And then other people can shop, if there's, like, if they need like I said, a coffee bar or something like that.
'Cause that is a local issue, is that people just don't know what to do with furniture. There's a lot of
Correct.
places that accept donations, but there's a
Right.
lot of places that don't accept furniture because they're either
Right.
overloaded and they have nowhere to put it, keep it,
Right.
store it.
And so then it ends up at the dump.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
It brings me to a question on sustainability. So, the society as a whole, I see a lot of things going into the dump. I couldn't give my furniture away when we moved from Georgia to here. If we could repurpose that and donate it to a charity, I know there are foster families, children that leave the house in the middle of the night, sometimes
Yes.
without even clothes on their back.
right.
They could use a crib. They could use whatever piece of furniture.
Right.
How do you feel about sustainability and repurposing things that, they function the same,
Right.
but they just maybe look a little different and you could freshen them up?
Yeah, and that's what kind of my goal is. Like I said, just to keep stuff from being thrown away. It's perfectly good stuff. It just might not look exactly like you'd like it or whatever. Or maybe the corner broke off of it or something minor can be repaired. And in helping people, like you said, with the foster kids, but you got to think about too, there's a lot of adults who need help. People, the foster system ends at 18. So what
Right,
are those guys
exactly.
going to do when after they're 18, they still can't necessarily provide for themselves. So just to help people, I think just to give them hope. That's why I called it Furnishing Hope, to kind of give them a little bit of hope that, here's something. It might not be, $1 million, but it just to have some dignity.
To be able
and
to
some
furnish
pride.
your
Yeah.
dwelling
Right.
is very important. You got to
Right.
eat off a table. I
Correct.
mean, you could eat off of a crate,
Yeah.
but to have a table gives you another level of satisfaction or pride in your dwelling.
Right.
And it gives you that sense of hope
Right.
that you can get through this and get to the next thing where maybe you can buy a table and donate that one back to another family
Sure.
who's in need.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And have you totally
Exactly.
reconstructed certain things, like say an end table to a planter?
I have actually taken an end table and made it into like a reading nook for my grandson. So I cut out the top two drawers and left the bottom drawer there, put some extra wood in there and made a little bench seat, a little cushion. And so I made a little reading nook for him. I haven't done the plant. I've seen those, but those are really cool. And like I said, mostly taking bigger pieces like the armoires and making them into some kind of like a coffee bar or something, just to have additional storage, but also openness.
And I think that's huge because, again, you don't really want to use certain pieces. You have the hutch in the dining room. What do
Right.
you do with it?
Well, yeah.
Do you open it up and make it, a wine bar?
Yeah, or
Take the doors off?
yeah, you
Right.
can. Or I've seen people, you can separate it and leave the bottom as just like a regular buffet type table and take the upper part and actually mount it on the wall as a cabinet.
Very cool. I think
So
that's
you
a
can do
big
that as
part
well.
of well as innovative ideas of using some of the traditional pieces and
Right.
modernizing them.
Right.
Are there any stories through working on or restoring pieces that have stuck with you? Or this used to belong to this family member in my life, and now to see it back and in service again, anything like that you can share with us?
Well, in addition to yours, 'cause I love that you had your grandmother's piece and it was disassembled and it was, but it was beautiful once it all got put together. I had another lady, is kind of a comical, I feel like it's kind of a comical story. She had this, basically it was looked like a cabinet, and she wasn't exactly sure what it was, but she knew it was her grandmother's. Well, I basically just kind of stripped it and refinished it, and in the process of it, she had talked to some of her older family members and come to find out it was what they call a piss pot holder.
Oh,
So when you were
my goodness.
when you were you had to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, you had to go in a pot, and they needed somewhere to store it. So that's what it was called.
Interesting.
So I was like, oh, okay.
See?
So there's a lot of those
there's a
things
lot.
that,
Yeah, that just stick
It's
with you.
history. It's history, you know. But
well, it is history.
It
and
was
we,
a beautiful piece, if even before she knew what it was.
right. But now it has a funny entity story to it. You know, do you work with antique stores and furniture resellers to bring things back to life?
I have not
people?
here. I have when I was in the Charlotte area. A lot of people with antiques. I will refinish antiques. I don't say I refuse, but I don't really like to paint an antique, because once you paint a piece of furniture, if it's a true antique, it takes the value away. So I try to dissuade people from that. But yes, so I have not worked directly with any stores or anything here, though.
Okay.
So you keep your furniture. Is there a resale store that you put some of your pieces in?
I have a couple locations that have some things. Artique on Young Street in Ormond has a few of my pieces. There's a new place, a salon that this lady's trying to convert into more of a boutique type place. So I'm going to have some pieces there. So yeah. And I don't think I did have a few things over at Beginning in Homes, but I think she sold all those.
So we both know you from extensive networking groups and opportunities around the county. How does that work for your business? And who do you collaborate with most and build bridges with in your field of work?
Yeah, I've got several networking groups, as you know, you do, and that has really helped me. My BNI group has really helped a lot. I have partnerships with a couple of interior designers that really help. So they use me because, you know, some people, they don't want to get rid of what they have. And so, you know, there again, I can just kind of refresh it for them. Or the same thing with the cabinets, to replace the cabinets. They don't want to do that. They'd rather just paint them. So I have, you know, several different, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in Palm Coast for networking.
Oh my goodness, yes. You can
almost
24/7.
But yeah, so you can bit, and it's just finding that, you know, that group that, you know, you can, you know, build relationships with. And I feel like each group that I'm in has a different ways for me to connect, different opportunities. So I have different influences. And like you had mentioned before, our nonprofits. So Shar and I are both in Lions Club. And that helps, you know, build other set of networking opportunities, other groups.
We were talking about that in a previous episode about what your passion is and how you get driven to a nonprofit.
Right.
And you are very heavily involved, which I don't think a lot of people know how involved you are in different entities in the community. Right. So if you want to just elaborate, because first it did start with the Lions Club.
Right. Start with the Lions Club.
January will be 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
And how did you get involved with that? And why are you still there? And just elaborate on the rest of them that you're involved in.
I was in BNI and had a one-to-one with Nina Galato, and she told me about the Lions, and so went and said, okay, yeah, didn't really know anything about the Lions, what they were about. Learned a lot, and I just really believe in their mission, you know. And so, as when you took over as president, I just really was excited because I know what you're capable of and how we can make it greater and bigger. And so that's why I've stayed with Lions.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
And then I also involved with Abundant Life Ministries, Hope House International here, incorporated here. And we do a Christmas to Remember every year. So basically that is, they provide a day. It's food and gifts and just family fun and whatever for they're pretty much all foster kids or single moms with their kids. And some of them, that's like the only Christmas they're going to get. So we have an angel tree where we have names that you can sponsor a child.
So it's called Abundant Life
Abundant
Ministry.
Life Ministries.
And is that
but
through a church?
it's through, it's just a nonprofit. And the event is called A Christmas to Remember. So
And
there's
how long have they been doing that?
She's been doing that. This is the 9th season for A Christmas to Remember,
wow.
but she's been in Palm Coast area with Abundant Life Ministries for over 20 years. So they're also opening up Phoenix Crossing, which is going to be a 28 unit facility for basically people who are that age out of the foster system. As I was mentioning earlier, they don't have a lot of income. So it's not a public housing. It's going to be privately subsidized, funded housing for 18 and over. And they do have to, pass background checks, and there's rules and different things. But it's not just that age. It can be elderly people if they need,
See, and I think this is why this is so important, what we're doing, is because how else can we expose all of these wonderful organizations and what the community is involved with without doing what we're doing here in the studio?
Yeah. It is. It's a great way to get out there because as I was listening, before, there's so many things going on that I never even knew was going on in Palm Coast or Flagler County, and I think that's great that you guys are going to be bringing awareness to all these things.
Yes, it's huge, really.
It's bigger than we thought.
Right.
But that's the cool thing.
Right.
I want to know if you find a young person who leans towards the creative side and they want to get into a business that's creative. Could be one of them. But what advice would you give that young person to start a creative business and actually kind of bridge, if I use that word, between their creative and their business side? What would you tell them?
Well, I started later in life with my business. I did corporate for a lot of years. So I would just tell them, I feel like a lot of young people are pressured. They feel like they have to make so much money and do all this right away. And they're just doing things to do it. So try and find something that you're really passionate about, you really enjoy, and the money will come. You do need to make connections. However it is that you can make connections, if it's through other church, your church, other businesses, whatever, other people who do similar things to you.
Right. So you can't just hang a shingle out and say, I do X, Y, Z.
Right. And
the money's going to come.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be out there.
Right.
And to use this expression again, building that bridge between what you're passionate about and what you want to accomplish with a business.
Oh yeah, definitely. Most definitely. It's hard, I feel like, in some younger people's minds to get them to understand that part of it, and that it does take work, but also, you'll be rewarded if you, keep at it. Just don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
What's next for Furniture Facelifts and the ministries that you're working in? What's next?
Well, like I said, my nonprofit I'm not making any money. That's not the purpose of it. It's for a facilitator. So the Furniture Facelifts is where I make my money. So I am transitioning a little bit just to, cause I do want to make Furnishing Hope bigger. I do want to make it, to serve more people. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. And still trying to figure out that balance between the two, so.
If we never quite get there in the balancing of it, that's okay. Right? Because you're creating, you're refurnishing furniture for people, you're earning that income, and you're moving forward with that same sort of entity into a nonprofit.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're in a position that your family and household is supporting itself, go for it.
Yeah. Yep. So I am fortunate that I have a very good husband that he supports me, just in more ways than I can.
I understand.
So.
Well, cool.
Good.
What else do we need to talk about? The charities that, where do you see your charity going in the next few years?
Like I said, I'm hoping that it just gets bigger, that I can just be if top of mind of, in any organization that has a need for what I can provide. That's what I'm working for now is in making connections in with other nonprofits and different organizations that help people. So my goal is, like I said, to be top of mind when it comes to, hey, we have this family in need. Can you help? Hey, we can call Kay. She can help. This area.
Right.
So that's my
And your
my goal.
delivery on all this. I mean, what are your access to delivery and pickups?
Oh, well, my husband has a truck, and so
Okay.
he's notorious for saying he's voluntold. He's not volunteer. So I'll tell him, hey, and I can go get stuff as long as I have somebody to help me load it in the truck. So that's pretty much it. And we do go pick stuff up. We do deliver. Like I said, I have a storage building. I have a garage. So
Well, if anybody wants to get in
Load it
touch
up.
with Furnishing Hope or
Yes.
Facelifts and More, how would they
Right.
do that?
I have a Facebook page and a website for Furniture Facelifts and More, and Instagram. Furnishing Hope right now. I do have an email, or you can call me. I don't have a website or a social media presence as right now, just for the fact of I'm trying to. I don't want to just have everybody calling me, just for whatever. I'm trying to make strategic connections with organizations and people.
So sometimes
So-
you open every door possible, and sometimes you can't
Right.
close them. So if you just
Right.
kind of,
So I'm trying
crack
to-
one open here and there, you
Yes,
can
I'm
control it a
trying to
little
be
better.
little, yeah. So, but I do have an email. It's kfurnishinghope@gmail.com. And then, like I said, Furniture Facelifts and More on Instagram, Facebook, internet.
Very cool. And you plan on staying in Palm Coast?
We do plan on staying. We love it here.
Wonderful.
So,
Wonderful.
Yep.
There you have it, folks. Another episode of B3 is in the books. We have built that bridge to the past through your furniture and into the future and helping people. So we appreciate your time today
Thank you.
and being a guest here with
Y'all
us.
are doing great things, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.